Hi, this is János and my channel is Reward Audio, and I'm looking at my screen because I'm sitting here in front of my computer, and today I'm going to use my computer as a slideshow presentation device, and for the simple reason that I've organized some of my thoughts here. To be perfectly honest and transparent about it, I made this slideshow already about 4 or 5 months ago, and I've been sitting on this for that long and thinking a lot about it, and then I was never happy with whatever I thought I'm going to present about it. But finally today I'm pulling the trigger, and good or bad, I'm going to start it. And I'm going to talk about single driver speakers. And why? Well, partially because those of you who are watching my channel, you know that I share a lot of experience that I have on single driver speakers. Maybe some of you would not call it a lot of experience, but based on my sharings and the feedback I'm receiving is that most people find my sharings really valuable on single driver speakers. And when I look at my channel, look at my videos, the view counts for those videos when I talk about single driver speakers are just by far overshadowing anything else that I talk about on my channel. So I thought, for one thing, I would like to reward those of viewers of mine who are here learning about single driver speakers. And also Nick Pantazi was asking me like if I would I would write a book on single driver speakers, and actually I told him that actually that's a really great idea, and I've been thinking about something like the single driver Bible, and I've already written about 2 pages of it. And actually the format that I thought about it will be a book, like a question and answer book, like and questions and answers at all levels, like for people who don't know what that is, and basic things about it, and then people who already are in the phase of like choosing a single driver topology, single driver cabinet type, and then question and answer session about how, when you are building it, what to look out for, amplification going with it, room, etc., and going from the most innocent, I don't know anything about speakers level, I don't know anything about audio, from there going to that level that you've been living with single driver speakers for a decade or 2 decades, and you want to elevate your experience. So that type of thing I'm thinking about, and if that would be of interest, then please let me know. And what I plan to do, release about it, I won't publish it as a book. That in our age that's kind of antiquated, although maybe not a bad idea, but I think then it would be like setting it in stone. But I want it to be something live, something dynamic, and if or when I make progress with that, what I'm thinking of doing it is that I will put it on my Buy Me a Coffee site, and what I will have, maybe I will have like a membership tier for Buy Me a Coffee site, and if you become a member, you can read the book. And the simple reason for that is that I could put that book up on Buy Me a Coffee for maybe like $1 or $5 or whatever to download. It's not a scheme to get rich, but it's there if you are curious, and then you can learn about it. But then it's kind of like you downloaded it, and what if I do an update? You pay again or what? But in that case, maybe then yes, you pay. If you are subscribing, you pay every month. So yes, it's there. Maybe there you go. Maybe we are at the same spot. If I would just like have a new version, but the idea behind that, if I decide on that, would be to just put more energy into that Buy Me a Coffee site, and really, when I do things, talks about speakers and designs, etc., then I would have like put up the schematics and plans, etc., on the Buy Me a Coffee site. And right now I have a couple of things there, and then you can download it for a few dollars. But what would be much better if just like have like a subscription model for reasonable price, and then everything, you can have access to anything and everything on it, and I would be maintaining it, and just you would have all the latest things. Anyway, that was just a little bit of a segue. Please share in the comments, what do you think about that. Also, everything depends on how much time will I have to develop it, because like developing that would require significant effort, and it also means that I have to prioritize. Either I put my effort into answering comments or developing content, because probably many of you know that just doing this audio channel thing is not my main job. It doesn't help my living at all. I have a job, and that's my income, and what I have as from donations through the Buy Me a Coffee for this channel, that all goes into fun. I put everything back into audio and to support the channel, so it's not doing anything at all for my livelihood. So that's about it. And also, this means that as this is just a hobby, a fun activity for me, it must remain in that domain. So if I have any duties in my life that demand my attention, those are prioritized over channel making. So that's why I have been very reluctant about committing myself to something more serious through that Buy Me a Coffee subscription, etc. model, because I don't want to promise things that I cannot deliver. It's really bad. And I don't want to keep you waiting, and I don't want to make anyone feel cheated that János, I expected it and you didn't deliver. And well, that's the reality of life, that I can only deliver what I have effort and energy to deliver, and just making the channel is just a ridiculous amount of effort and time and energy. And sadly, many of you may have noticed that during the past couple of months I did not have those extra resources in my life available. So that's why past couple of months, very few videos, and I've been answering the questions very, very slowly, but I'm hoping to answer all the backlog that I have comments on my channel. I'm looking at them. I have some comments on my channel that are years old, but there's a lot of catching up that I can do, I have to do. Yearly I'm getting many thousands of comments, so it's no easy feat to answer them all. And now we are circling back to single driver speakers, and this series that I'm starting now is about single driver speakers, and I'm going from the very basics, and now I'm not talking, I will not talk about specific single driver designs, and right now in this episode this is not about tweaks, etc., but about for those people who are now thinking about single driver speakers or starting your journey with it, what you can expect from them. Well, and so what you can expect from them, it depends a lot on your personality, your character, and your hearing. And the most important advice I can give on single driver speakers, and not just single driver, but this is true for any loudspeaker topology, is that whether it's good or bad for you, it's entirely subjective. It's entirely up to you. Because if it's either good or bad for me, it can be bad or good for you. If something works for me, that's absolutely not a guarantee that it will work for you. So that's why, and it was not just me thinking about that, but what really inspired me to create this episode series about single drivers was a channel. It's called Romy the Cat's Audio, made by Romy, and his channel was brought to my attention by Nick Pantazzi. Thank you, Nick. And for those of you who don't know Romy, let me just quickly switch over to YouTube, and that's Romy the Cat's Audio, his channel, and I do recommend his channel extremely warmly to everyone who is interested in audio and who calls himself an audiophile or even remotely interested in sound and music. And why I recommend him is because he is like a breath of fresh air. So I think like the most of audio that you can find is really stale, and it's not because there's anything wrong with any of the people who are making those video channels, but what is stale is the attitude, is that we are always like looking at audio gear like, okay, I have amp X, loudspeaker Y, and cable Z, and CD player W, whatever, and then I have some experience. Now if I change the amp to amp X2 or amp B or amp K or whatever, oh, more dynamics, wow, excellent. And then the reviewer is really happy, and then the next episode is about ditching that new amplifier and getting another one, and we have no idea what's going on, because we are not finding out what is it that that person is looking for, what made him happy, and why he ditched that amplifier. And of course the reason is he ditched it because that new amplifier is his livelihood. He has to keep on ditching the amps, because if you make a channel about audio gear, you have to keep the gear coming, and you have to keep on reviewing them, and it doesn't necessarily mean that they are doing a bad service for you, because the comparison, like comparing amp A to amp B, putting it into their reviewer system and giving you their opinion about that, that's a valuable thing, it's a good thing. But what you are being I would wanted to say toyed with, but you are not. That's a very wrong concept, and would give a bad idea about it. But what is neglected is that this audio journey is not about the gear, it's about you. And it's not just about you, but it's about the music. And here Romy, he is calling out the entire Bluetooth audiophile community, what double, triple, quadruple morons we all are, because everyone has lost their way in the in audio porn land, and no one has any clue about the very basics of music, how to connect to music, what is it that makes music. How How do you grasp interpretation? And when reviewers tell, oh, I'm hearing now Shostakovich, and there's like much better dynamics. Oh, no, this is a better system because it can provide the Shostakovich quintets with 10% better dynamics, or somewhat better transparency. But that's totally missing the point of Shostakovich. That person has no clue about Shostakovich, who is just focusing on clarity and dynamics when he is hearing the Shostakovich interpretation, because he's not hearing the interpretation, he's focusing on what the system is doing to Shostakovich. And he should be focusing on, well, not should be, could be, because in his mind, in people's mind, they are perfectly happy and satisfied just hearing something with greater clarity and better dynamic range, better bass, etc., etc. While you can ask any musician or anyone who has the slightest love of music that musicality and music does not live in just purely in clarity or detail level or resolution or what not. You have to go around from a completely different angle and figure it out for yourself, how you can connect to musicality, how you can recognize interpretations. And the only way to do that, I think, is to go to real life concerts. I'm hearing so many reports and comments online from someone who's been an audiophile for 30 years. They had built a system, audio systems for 30 years, and they've been listening to classical records for 30 years, and they have never been to a classical concert. It's just totally mind-blowing. It's like building a 100-floor tall building without any foundation. It's pointless. The whole thing just goes down. Just you breathe on it and the whole thing just falls apart and crumbles. We should not be, if that's your case, you recognize it in yourself, that you have been over fixating on audio gear and totally neglecting listening to actual music played by human beings on instruments without PA amplification. If that's your case, then you missed out the most important thing about music, and the whole audiophile spiel and thing and whatnot is totally pointless and will never ever make sense to you. It will be just a rat's race for higher dynamic range, etc., etc., etc. Actually, higher dynamic range, that's the only point in the whole audiophile persuasion that actually can bring you closer to true musicality. But chasing pinpoint imaging, textural resolution, frequency extremes, etc., etc., that all of that is leading you away from connecting to music. And if you don't connect to the music, you are incapable of identifying what interpretation is. Then it will be absolutely pointless and meaningless to you, because it's equivalent to receiving a Christmas package or any kind of gift, let's say a birthday gift, and you are only looking at the wrapping material. You never ever open the package, and you are fixated on getting more and nicer and nicer packaging. And people end up with these multi-trillion-dollar value audio systems, which are like liquid gold packaging with pure titanium and uranium and polonium and whatever covering, and inside there's nothing, empty package. So people are forgetting that the packaging, the wrapping is just there to it's something that's immaterial, because what is inside the box, that is the gift. The wrapping is just the manner of presenting the gift to you. And today our entire audio community has lost in that road, that we started to over-fixate on the packaging, and the gift inside that gives meaning to it is shrinking and shrinking and shrinking and disappearing. And I think even in the poorest, worst setup, most ostentatious audiophile rig, there's still a nugget of that gift inside the box, but most people are unable to reach it because of their hard fixation on the outer empty shell. And Romy is calling us out, calling everyone out, that guys, you messed up. And he's not kind about it. He's not using nice, politically correct language. He is pointing the finger, and unreservedly, and he is absolutely right, and I support him 100% with that. And I myself, I am more reserved. He thought that I'm just too kind to people. Yeah, I think, and then he said that's a flaw of mine and I will grow it out. Maybe I will. And yeah, this video is proof that I'm on that road. Thank you, Romy. But anyway, so he has absolutely fantastic videos, and he shares a lot about how you can find your way back. How he describes interpretations in a much better way than I ever could. That basically, okay, so on my with my expression, interpretation is how the musicians express music. Because and by music I mean now classical music, or what we call as classical music, which is like like Johann Sebastian Bach or Stravinsky or Beethoven. So for those of you who are not familiar with this genre, and why, and if you are not familiar with it, for most people classical music is something that is kind of like an archaic thing, and people used to be really high and mighty about it, but it's now just outdated and old farts, whatnot. But the reality why classical music is so important is because it contains all the seed that modern music uses. So basically, if you think about classical music, it's like the seed, and the plant that grows out of it is the present day music. And that's because the music is mathematics. It uses the language of mathematics, and classical music is the pure form of mathematical representation, and today what we have as music, as popular music, is scavenging classical music. And when you hear a new tune, a new popular tune, there's literally almost 100.00% chance that what the person is doing is reaching back to a classical piece and taking out melodies, golden nuggets from that music, and inserting it into a different framework. And basically, this is interpretation. So this is the loosest form of interpretation. What pop music does today is that they take these chords, these keys, these musical phrases from our past, from our classical musical heritage, and they interpret it in a modern way. And when you are a person who is interested in music, nowadays we call ourselves audiophiles. And audiophile technically means lover of sound, but if you just love sound for the sake of sound, it's an empty, pointless thing. It doesn't get you anything. You won't receive from it. It's kind of like if you have seen some high-end restaurants where they have like plastic dishes on display, like it looks like real food and it's made with plastic, colored extremely delicately. You can find these, for example, in a high-end Japanese sushi restaurant. It looks like real platters, but it's not food, it's just plastic but colored extremely well. So if you are an audiophile and all you care about sound is like a person who collects plates like that, and you are just looking at it, but you are never tasting it, never eat it, and that's why you cannot even tell that what you are looking at, it's not real food, it's plastic. And most of the audio today, most of the audiophile gear today is plastic and feeding you plastic. Microplastic and macroplastic. Undigestible, unedible, pure, unadulterated garbage. And the only way for you to figure out whether it's digestible or not is that you have to make the effort of trying to digest it. And then you will find out, oop, this is plastic, I can't even chew it. My teeth breaks and it scrapes off the skin from my tongue, it's not edible. And then when you eat the real sushi, first you notice, oh, that platter doesn't look that nice as the plastic fake thing did. That thing, but then it's your learning process to recognize, oh, actually the real fish and the real rice, this is how it looks like. It's not some platonic idealized plastic fancy thing, but real things that are edible, that are nutritious, have these textures to them. And that's with music as well. And your audio gear, I would say it needs to have its need to present music in an accessible way. And in that accessible way, there's also not just strength but weaknesses. And on your audio road, you need to familiarize with both of them. And you cannot just pursue a path of just improving everything and just over fixating on resolution, on image, on this and that, low noise, whatnot, because that's not what makes music. If you go to real concerts, you will build up the experience what real music sounds like, and when you are there with your fellow human beings listening to the concert, then you will figure out through that herd experience, through that group experience, what it is to be part of music, what it is to be partaking in music. And when you have practice with it, then you are building up your skill set. And with that skill set, that is your most valuable tool to build your audio system. And so far I haven't said a word about single driver speakers, so I'm going to have to come up with a creative title for this video, because it looks like I'm hitting 30 minutes and nothing about single drivers. So this is the introduction to music, basically. I think maybe that's what I will call the title about it. So basically, my message for this video is that if you want to get into audio at any level, then you first have to figure out why you are doing it. And that reason has to come from you and not copying someone else. And always, when you first, as a layman who never heard like an audiophile system, hear one and you are just wide-eyed, oh my god, the detail level, wow, and then you get captured and suckered into that reality that I can have more detail, more imaging, more, and it's like tasting sweets the first time in your life. Oh, sweet. And then you want more and more sweets, and after a couple of years you are eating everything with sugar, like pounds of sugar, everything. In your soda you have like you guys know how much sugar is in a soft drink, like Coca-Cola or Pepsi or any Coke or any kind of these bottled sodas. In one little bottle like that, there's that much sugar. If I would put in my hand, it would be like this big pile of sugar, raw sugar. Yes. So a lot, so much sugar that, for example, in Coke, it does not dissolve in that amount of liquid. They need to put in hard acids to make that sugar soluble in that drink. Imagine that. So this is what audio is doing to you, that once you hear, ooh, I can have better imaging or better frequency range, it's your sugar spike. And if you get addicted to that, the same thing will happen to you as when you get addicted to sodas and sugary food. You get diabetic. Your system cannot regulate itself anymore, and you will be addicted to sugar, and your body will just become a train wreck. And you will need like very serious rehab to get back from that. But there's so much damage to your body that you cannot fully recover from that. And the same thing happens with audio, is that the train wreck with audio is that you will lose some of your hearing by excesses, because when you get more and more, there's just so much your body can take, and you will just destroy your ears if you are listening to louder and louder and more bass and more highs and more and more and louder and louder. And what you notice is that when we go to like audio shows, or sometimes with friends who are not yet experienced with audio, or did not have the proper exposure to audio, is that they are listening so loud that after 5 minutes you have to leave the room or the house, because you'll have problems. You might even end up in the ER next day. It happened to me that once when I listened to someone's system, next day I had to go to the doctor because it messed up my hearing so badly. And that's what's happening to the audio community by and large. And when you know that a system sounds good, when you get together with your friends and they are not blaring it, they are not setting the volume to 11, but out of 11 it's maybe like a 6, 7, 5, 4, that's when you know that that person who is playing it, he has a long exposure to music, and he's connecting to the music, and he is not in that sugar addiction mode. And that's what I recommend, that which is more important than your gear, or whether you choose single driver speakers or multi-driver, time aligned or whatnot, is that you align your internal values and you focus on, first of all, finding out what interpretation is, getting familiar with interpretation. I just give an example for that, is that when you listen to classical music, even if you don't know the piece, but you are familiar with classical music, you can tell who was the composer. So if I hear a Bach piece that I never heard, I can tell it is a Bach. And when the interpretation is bad, it's because the musicians who are playing it, they are not familiar with Bach, and then they play it, interpret it in a different way. And sometimes there's a Bach piece, and those who know about interpretation would always say, oh, this is Vivaldi. No, and no, it's not Vivaldi, it's Bach, but the way it is played, those people play it if that was a piece written by Vivaldi. And why is that? Because they use a different tempo to it. They are not using the tempo that Bach did. Different intonation to it. They are stressing different notes. And that's what interpretation is about. That's what music is about. Is where is the awareness, where is the attention, how the musician is translating it, and what is the mindset of the musician. Because on the sheet music, you just, it's digital. It's digital information. You have notes on a paper, and everything is time aligned, everything is pitch aligned, right? But then it's the human being translating it. And with that translation comes the intent of the musician, and the skill level and the quality of the instrument they're playing at is secondary to the intent that uses the skill and the instrument to create the interpretation, to give a body to that digital format notes, basically. And that's what is your job as an audiophile, to get familiar with that and to recognize what this system is. And you can start with classical music, and I would recommend to start with that, because that's the basis of everything modern. So even if you are a jazz fan, or you like pop music or electronic music, modern things, there's nothing wrong with any of them. They're all beautiful, and there's wonders everywhere. But to understand it, you have to dig to the foundation and be familiar with the roots. Because if you study the roof first, you have nothing to build it on. I could quote from, give you quotations, that if you don't have the foundation, the cornerstone, your building, whenever you try to build a house, it will crumble every single time. You have to go from the cornerstone up, and that's the cornerstone, classical music and interpretations. And that's why I stress the importance of how your audio system plays classical music, and why that's so critical and crucial. And if your system fails at properly interpreting classical pieces, then it will fail at interpreting anything and everything properly. And I think this is what Romy is talking about, that classical music is really truly the quintessential foundation. And if you don't nail it, your system cannot nail it, then it's in the limbo. And you might have like a temporary satisfaction with it, but it's 100% guaranteed that next year your system will look probably radically different, and you don't know why, and you are chasing something and you are never satisfied. But when you take time to get familiar with music, get familiar with yourself, what is it that makes the interpretation, what is it that makes you attracted to music, what are your interpreters who get you closer to what you want, then you will find out that what is the audio equipment that is more aligned with that kind of interpretation that is suitable for you. And that's absolutely critical, because just as there are different musicians with different interpretations, one is not worse or better than the other, but all of them are different, and all of them are speaking to, translating to different people. On planet Earth we have amazing diversity and music is interpreted and expressed in a million different ways, much more than a million different ways, and there's, you can pick any way, and any way will be the absolute beauty and heaven for one person and ultimate hell for another person. And it's the same thing, we are talking about the exact same thing. And you cannot just pick something that everyone loves it and something that everyone hates. You will have the whole wide range everywhere, and it's your job to figure out what is it you want, and then to find that kind of audio equipment that will get you there to your desire, that will bring out the best from that interpretation, because all the audio gear is a lens. It's like a camera lens. I will show you one. This is a fantastic lens, and all that the lens does is that you put it on your camera with this end, that's the rear end, and that's the front end. You stick it on your camera, and it gives a rendering of the world onto the camera sensor. And when you pick a different lens, do I have a different lens? Yes, I have a different lens right here. This is a very different lens. You see, it's a different lens. And if I use this lens, it will give a completely different rendering from this lens. And it's up to you to figure out what these lenses do. And it's not like one lens is better than the other. Yes, there are some characteristics. We can say like one lens is sharper, the other lens has better color rendering, this has better micro contrast, etc., etc. But each has different usefulness. So for example, this lens, this huge big one, this is an autofocus lens. So it means that it can focus it automatically to the point that you want it to focus at, while this lens is manual focus. So I am the one who have to set the focus. Now with this one I am in full control of the focus, and if I know what I'm doing, I can do exactly nail that focal plane to where I want it to be. And here I am relying on my camera to pick that focal plane for me. It will pick something really wonderful, but is it what I really want? If you are a beginner photographer, then with the autofocus you will get a lot better, and it gives you a consistency that, like, especially now with mirrorless cameras like the one I'm recording at, you can just, you know, put on your autofocus lens and it has eye detect autofocus, and each time you get the eye of the person sharp on all of your photos. But maybe you want something else. maybe when you want to focus on something else, then the closest eye of the closest person closest to you on the frame or whatnot. And that's where the manual focus lens comes into play, that it gives you an opportunity to really fine-tune on something. And well, if that something is fast moving, then you do not have time with the manual focus lens to focus on it. Then in that case, an autofocus lens is far better. That's the only way. The manual focus lens, fast moving object, like I was taking shots of ducks, and out of like 20 photos, maybe only 2 or 3 was in focus, no more. But those 2 or 3 shots, they just had this absolutely beautiful natural rendering to them, and those amazing colors that I cannot get with the other lens. So with this other lens, I was shooting birds, and almost all of them, all of the shots were sharp in focus, but the rendering was not as good as the manual lens. So I had like 20 shots and all of them were meh. And here I had 2 or 3, and one of them was just really fantastic. I really loved that. Also, another consideration. This lens is a zoom lens from 28 to 80 millimeters. And this is a fixed lens, 135 millimeters. So different focal length. And the same thing with an audio gear, is that they give you so different views to the music. They open a different window to the music, and each window has its own peculiarity. So some windows are kept, and each window has an optimum. Each window is optimized for something else, like a different genre of music, a different way of interpretation, different recordings. There are some windows that which is like the holy grail in audio, which is really touted, and which I don't think much of it, is that there are the systems which are optimized to play 3 recordings with incredible detail level, and the rest is unlistenable on them. And it's not because like the rest of the music is just garbage, but because that window is specialized for those 3 recordings, and it's incapable of playing anything else. It's like a musician who knows a single score, and it's absolutely brilliant with that. He's shredding the guitar, but when they ask him, okay, can you play my favorite tune? Like, what? No, I cannot. I can only play this. And then he plays only that one, nothing else. And that part is absolutely virtuoso and fantastic. And when you listen to it, wow, this is amazing. You can play like that. And then, no, he cannot play like that. He can only play that song like that. And he doesn't know squat anything else. And there are some people who happen to love that song and happen to love it playing night and day, and then if that's you and you found a system like that, it's perfect. That's what you need. But those people, I think 1 in 1,000. That's not most audiophiles. That's not most music lovers. Most of us are into audio because you love music and you want hear it expressed fully. And you are searching for audio gear that allows full expression of the music you love. And on this road, most of us get hijacked into that kind of circus that, oh, I'm not even listening to my favorite music anymore because it's recorded garbage. I only record to select music because that's recorded in a way that it plays fantastic on the system that I have selected and put together over the years. But when you do an honest soul searching, then you recognize that you have been derailed from your original journey, because your original journey was that as a young person you loved music much more than most people around you, and then once you heard a stereo system giving so much more than the generic things do, that you wanted that experience for the music you listen to. But then throughout our audio journey we are figuring out that most systems are incapable of playing the music you want to listen to at a satisfactory level, and you just give up your dreams and instead refocus on listening to music that you get to learn to love, but you have given up your dreams that fires everything, that gives food for your soul, and you are just kind of like I would say like athletes who are taking like lots of hormones to boost their performance just the sake of having like bigger muscles showing up, or you know, something like that. But it's not because they want to transform from the inside, just they are caught up in something which is alien to them, but they lose themselves in that kind of persuasion. Whew, I think now this is like really wrong, and if you are still listening, I just hats off to you. And why I'm also showing Romy, and now I really I'm getting back to where I started, is that this is Romy's video, why a full range driver and high-end audio are not compatible. So I would recommend everyone to watch this video, because I'm going to talk about that, and you would think that what Romy says here is the exact opposite of what I'm saying about full range driver speakers, and I think everyone is really curious, like who is right, János is right or Romy is right. What I tell you as a hint is that I do agree with everything that Romy is telling about full range driver speakers there. He absolutely nails it. And then everyone, I think if you watch that, and if you have been watching what I'm sharing about single driver speakers, you will be speechless, like what? That doesn't make sense. So I'm going to make a couple of videos on single driver speakers. I really hope I can make it and not do sidetracks and rants, and to make any kind of sense out of it. And this is why I've been postponing these videos, because there's no easy way of compacting all the information, because everything you need, especially if you are not if you are new to my channel and you haven't, even if you just watched maybe like 100 videos of mine, that's still relatively new to my channel. There's so many things that need to gel first to get to what I really want to talk about, because what Romy's channel is about, this is not for beginner audiophiles. I think those of you will really benefit from him who are already like 20, 30, 40 years into audio, and then you will recognize, okay, what he's saying and how deep he goes into it. If you are totally new into audio and like you are a current drive or whatnot, and you just have like a mantra, or you found a mentor and he has good stuff, yeah, maybe he has good stuff and it's really good. But if you do not have the experience basis yet, and you just have like a really narrow sliver of exposure to audio, then you won't understand a word of what Romy is saying, and you probably like maybe listen to 2 minutes and then just that's it, whatnot. So That's my warning, is that he is like me. He takes a long time saying what he says, but both of us take a long time saying what we are saying, because it cannot be said in a concise manner. And when I say it in a concise manner, it doesn't have the same meaning. Because it's not just the words, it's not just a packet of information. It is the process of me building up the brain processes in your head. So what I'm doing here and what Romy is doing is the important bit is not the facts that you are getting from our videos, but the thought process. That's what you need to develop in yourself. The attitude, how you can make your brain wrap around the problems, and what are the ways to go about it, how you can transform from an audioholic to what Romy calls as an audio practitioner. And Romy, I think I'm going to use your term. He came up with this term, audio practitioner, and I think maybe it could be summarized as a person who is into cultivating his audio system with purpose, and he knows what he is doing. He does tremendous amount of research, researching it, and he acts on what he learned. He tries it. He's not driven by his own ego. He's not doing it to show it to some people or show off about it, but you are doing it because you want to reach something, and you are using your audio system to reach where you want to go, and you keep an open mind and you learn. And if there are some things that you've been doing for many years, and then suddenly you find something that offers a better solution, then you go for the better solution, and then you just thank those years that you spent with things that brought you joy. But if something gives you more understanding, then you embrace it and you take your next step. This audio is like life. We are taking steps, one step after the other. You put your foot one after the next. And if you get like really hung up with like one type of amplification or one type of speaker system, and you cannot do the next step, just because you are so glad standing on one leg wherever you are standing, then that's on the long run will hamstring you, and will stall your growth, and you will stagnate, and you will become unhappy with where you are, because you are unable to flourish, to progress. And the important bit is, don't listen to me or don't listen to Romy, listen to yourself, what comes from you. And when you listen to us and other people giving you advice on the audio, is take that advice to help you discover yourself, what it is you want, and then when you know more about what you want, then you have to figure out how you get there. And that's the path for an audio practitioner. And what Romy calls as audio practitioner is a person who has been on this path for a very long time, so he can already put together a system for himself or for his friends that is really high on this path. And there's very few people who can do that. And I really agree with Romy that there's few individuals on this planet who are knowledgeable enough to make that call. And what my goal with this channel is to connect to more and more people on this planet who are audio practitioners. And based on Romy's videos, he is a true audio practitioner. And I'm really blessed, I would say, that I have lots of audio practitioner friends around me. And through my channel, I have got to know audio practitioner friends who are absolutely fantastic, and I think I've learned as much from them as hopefully I can share with you through this channel throughout the years, through the 1,000+ videos I have made. So I think now I'm hitting almost 1 hour, and it's time for me to say bye bye, and we will be continuing truly with single driver speakers on the next video. So thank you for tuning in. Have an amazing day, night, morning, breakfast, dinner, supper, whatever it is when you are listening to this. Bye bye.